This is TLC at Home. Hey everybody, this is Rene and welcome to episode 2 of this brand new podcast that I just started from my house. As I record this, of course, we are all living in a shelter-in-place order, hoping to slow the spread of the novel coronavirus, and I hope you are praying about that. I am all the time, that God would give wisdom and strength to the medical researchers and to the health professionals and the first responders. Let's pray for them and pray for everybody who is under this order, especially those in the vulnerable populations. We pray that this will help us stay healthy physically, but human beings also need to stay healthy socially, right? We all need ways to stay connected, to hear from other people who are in the same situation and how they are doing, and to tap into the expertise that different people have to help us all navigate this. And that is what this podcast is all about. For example, today, I'm going to be interviewing marriage and family therapist Erin Torr about how to shelter in place with your teenager. And then I will connect with Adrian Moreno, who is one of the pastors at our church and a huge movie buff, about some fun and family-friendly movies that he recommends in case you want to binge watch, but you don't know what is good or safe for your little ones. Well, it is a challenge to shelter in place, but it can be a particular challenge for those of us with children at home. So I talked about the unique challenges of parenting adolescents in this shelter-in-place order with a behavioral health specialist from Monte Vista Christian School. Her name is Erin Torr, and she's an attender at Twin Lakes Church. In a future episode, I'm going to circle back to Erin and get her advice for parenting younger children at home. But right now, here's my conversation with Erin about adolescence. Erin, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, honestly, considering.
Exactly.
I wanted to talk to you about something that I saw you sent out that I thought was so insightful. You sent out a letter to parents at Monte Vista Christian School about how to parent teenagers during times of crisis. I mean, that's tough, as you said, no matter what age kids are, but parenting teens during a time of social isolation really requires special insight and wisdom. And that's kind of your specialty because you're a behavioral health counselor for adolescents from about 6th grade through 12th grade. Is that right?
That's right. Yes.
So walk us through some of your suggestions for parents of teenagers. And I would add, as a grandparent, grandparents as well.
As we know, teenagers are kind of a breed apart, right? It's a really special time of development. And the reason that it can be tricky to suddenly be homebound with them is that they're not accustomed to that. And developmentally, it goes against everything that they are actually going through and navigating, the important hurdles that they are trying to make as at this new stage. And so they are increasingly focused on peers, they are focused on the future, and they are becoming more and more independent from parents, which they have to do in order to face that next life stage of being a young adult.
Sure.
So suddenly being, homebound with potentially younger siblings that are noisy and, quote, annoying, a teenager's favorite word, and with your parents who you're trying to push off from is really tricky for both. And that's what I wanted to think about when I wrote to the parents is this isn't just tricky for you to now be stuck home with your teen, but it's actually really hard for your teen.
Right.
And seeing it from their perspective and trying to come at it with their unique challenges in mind.
So what are some tips that you can give to parents that have teenagers at home?
All young people and we ourselves, even as adults, need some form of structure and routine. Some need more, some need less, and of course we all need flexibility. But in order to function well, especially during a crisis, we have to have some semblance of order. So it's important that your teen understands that they're not on spring break, they're not in summer mode yet. We're still in school, but it's going to look different. And it's important for parents to recognize, yes, your teen needs structure, but it shouldn't be military style and it shouldn't be all up to the parent. There should be some ability to collaborate. And so what I suggest is that you actually let your teen know in a non-stressed moment that, hey, we're going to need some routine here to keep you on track and keep us on track, but I really want to honor the things you need from me. So could you write down what a daily, all the things you need to accomplish in a day, and then we'll get a loose structure of how that can look. And you let me know the times that will be really critical for me to have either some quiet for you, the little kids out of the house if there's other children, the dog not barking, maybe have the family room to him or herself for a while for a Zoom class time. So kind of collaborating and showing that, hey, I get it. This is going to be tricky. How can I help? And how can I also help you accomplish the things you need to do during this time?
So if we were outlining this, point number one would be create a routine. And bring your teen in on that discussion. Just don't just kind of like hang out and just everybody just do their thing. Create a rhythm, a schedule, and at this hour we do this, at this hour we do that, and have them in on that discussion so we all agree on a routine.
That's right.
And then what's point two?
Offer help without hovering. Teens do need help. But they find, I hear from them every day. I spend about 6 sessions a day with teenagers telling me what bugs them about adults.
Lucky you.
And they're quite honest and wonderful about it. They don't want to be annoyed, but they recognize they are annoyed almost chronically, especially with parent voices. And again, I think it's developmental. It's in order that someday they can jump out of the nest and not freak out, right? So you have to become a little bit ready to push off of the people that have been your primary comforts throughout your childhood.
Right.
So they're annoyed. So you want to show that, hey, I get it. I want to respect you. Respect is huge for teenagers because we're constantly telling them to respect us. We almost demand it, right, at times, and we should. It's appropriate for them to learn to be respectful and to honor that, and yet we often forget to respect them. What I like to think of is come alongside and do very quick drop in and drop out, right? Just kind of a touch base, like you see your teen sitting at the computer laboring over something, just either put a nice snack next to him or her, bring a warm drink, bring a smoothie, and just say, here you go. Or say, hey, can I fix you anything while you're working? But not the, hey, you really need to eat something healthy. So I haven't seen you have anything good yet. No more Doritos. Instead of the lecture, just offer a quick, short, wonderful solution. Hey, I'm going to work at the table as well. Let me know if I can help you with anything.
Right.
And that would be welcome.
Right.
And, hey, I'm going to go in the backyard with the little guys and give you some quiet time so that you can do math because I know that'll be easier for you. Can I fix you something while you're working? Have you had any water? I'm going to grab you a glass. Things like that.
That's good. So point number one, create a routine, a daily rhythm. Yeah. Point number two, you could say offer help without hovering. And let's do one more point here for help with parents who are sheltering in place with their teenagers.
I would say, I kind of touched on it a little, but really respect their need for privacy and alone time. And now this is one of those, it's a mixed bag. You don't want to give so much alone time and privacy that your teen is just locked in a bedroom, not bathing, spending hours on video games, disengaged, feeling shut out from the family, feeling shut out from friendships. Like, you don't want your teen to be set up for depression, and we really have to be wise and aware of that. On the other hand, teenagers are used to being outside of the home, more than 8 hours a day. They're not used to being home unless you already homeschool, and even then they're quite independent. So you want to really respect that, and like I was saying, convey that. Hey, I know you're going to need some quiet. I know you prefer to do it on your own. I'm here to help, but I don't want to bug you. Let me know if there's anything you need. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're working in your room right now. And can you show me what you've done when you come out? Things like that, and respect that time. If they need some barriers from other siblings, show it respectfully. Don't wait till they all get in a big blowout. Give the other siblings the cue that, hey, the teen in the family needs more quiet, has more classes that he has to navigate. So let's be in the other room and let him work, and then we'll do some family stuff later. So
Right.
kind of script it for the family and prime them for what needs to happen and how to respect each other's needs.
So let me summarize those 3 points. Create a routine, a daily rhythm, offer help without hovering, and respect your teen's need for privacy and alone time within reason. Now, let me ask you one final question. What if a child or a teenager appears depressed or self-destructive? What kind of professional support is available, and how can people find out about it?
Reach out to current practitioners in town. If you need a list, I can provide TLC with a list as well.
Great.
And Google things. It's amazing. I mean, I'm always saying it to everyone, just Google stuff. There is an abundance of material online about that very topic. If you just even Google the importance of, your teen's mental health during a crisis, you will find helpful resources. And then more locally, look up, MFTs, family therapists, child psychologist in Santa Cruz County, and you'll get a list, and just start calling if you really need intervention.
Erin, can you send me a list of some local marriage and family therapists, and then we can share that with people who email us? The email is info at tlc.org. And Erin, this is a very emotional time, obviously, for teenagers, and especially for seniors.
Seniors in particular are really, really crushed right now. Some of them, especially the kids who have just been diligent and have done all the things we've asked them to do for years now, as far as academically, getting good grades, jumping through hoops, testing well, studying hard, being a good person, playing a sport, playing an instrument, being in performing arts, and they're ready to launch. And suddenly it's like this failure to launch is how they feel.
Right.
That they've just been cut off at the knees. There's no prom at this point. We may redeem these things and reschedule, but in their minds right now, they're grappling with, I might not get a prom, a graduation, a senior trip, and that closure that they really need. Those are all rites of passage that help teenagers go from this very routine part of their lives that they're about to graduate from. Even if they say they don't like it, they do. There's comfort in their routine all these years in school, and suddenly they're going to go off to college, most of them, not everyone, but they are going to make a transition to young adulthood, and those rites of passage help all of us, parents and teens, make that transition and be brave for the next phase. And so to be cut off prematurely is very difficult. So
what can parents do to help?
I think what I would want to say to parents is, you're having your own feelings about those things. It's very disappointing for parents as well. They've also worked hard and invested enormous amounts of time and money into that process of development. So they have their own emotions to deal with. I would say try to deal with yours alone. You can show some disappointment to your kids that you're human, but not putting yours on them or before their strong feelings.
Right.
Process with your spouse, with other parents, but let your teen have his or her big feelings. And it can be overwhelming. Teens can be pretty intense when they're worked up, but if you can match that energy and provide a space for them and permission to really just express how disappointed they are and how devastating this feels, they will work through it faster. But if we block them and try and solve it prematurely, or reassure them or tell them, well, I mean, this isn't as bad as other times people have lived through, if we try to minimize it prematurely, they will not give up. They will try and prove how miserable they are.
Right. Good insight. Thank you so much, Erin. Really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rene.
Take care. That's Erin Tor, marriage and family therapist, on parenting adolescents during this shelter-in-place order. Next up, a man who has much younger children at home, one of our pastors, Adrian Moreno, about how to find family-friendly fare on TV. I mean, let's face it, most of us are going to be letting the kids watch TV during this time, maybe even just a little bit more than we might otherwise. So, how do you weed out the garbage and find the gold? Well, Adrian has some great ideas. Hey, Adrian, how are you doing today? Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Rene. I'm excited to be a part of the new podcast, and I'm
The
doing
new
pretty good.
adventure. It's all a new adventure. And I know
Everything.
that yesterday you were kind of playing Mr. Mom at home because you had the two girls because there's no school. And so Ella, who is 9, right? She's 9 years old?
Yeah, and Penelope is 6. Ella's in the 3rd grade, and Penelope's in kindergarten.
Right. And they were at home yesterday.
Yeah, they were home now, and we are the teachers. So yesterday, my wife was working. My wife Jamie, she works at Dominican Hospital, so her job is green lit. She's there every time she's scheduled. And so yesterday I had to do schoolwork and try to figure that out, and also feed them and keep them alive, and also try to get work done. So
and you got a ton of work done for the church yesterday too. So I want to thank you for that, and doing that in the midst of all this. I don't know how you did it. Honestly, it's just amazing. Well, listen, I wanted to talk to you because you are probably, and I don't mean this pejoratively, but you're probably like the biggest TV fan and Netflix fan that I know. It's like, you know all about all the movies and all the TV shows. And let's face it, we have a lot of, extra home time on our hands, and a lot more people are going to be watching movies, watching TV shows. So I wanted to call you, first of all, to get some recommendations about kind of family-friendly TV shows and movies that might be worth hunkering down on the sofa together and checking out.
Well, yes, I would say that I enjoy to watch things in my free time. So yeah, I can watch a lot of stuff, and I try to multitask. I watch something while I'm doing something else, and that's just my whole life.
You don't have to use that as an excuse to me, Adrian. That's okay. You can just say you enjoy TV.
I'm responding to the non-pejorative encouragement that you gave me.
All right.
Anyways, but I think we've been trying to watch some stuff. And this is kind of one of my life goals is when my kids want to watch something, that we watch something that I want to watch. So like that is my goal. Part of that is like just putting it on and letting them scream through the first 5 minutes of like, because they want to watch the same movie they've watched 1,000 times.
Right.
With that being said, I will say this. We subscribed to Disney Plus a while ago, and it's the greatest thing that has happened to our family. No, the other thing, there's great things. But it is, there's so much good stuff on there, and there's so much not good stuff on there. So you really have to kind of be careful. And I would say this, if you're a parent out there with kids and you're trying to watch something, and at least for us, we don't just let them watch anything, and everybody's different. But sometimes we try to screen stuff just to make sure, because a lot of the things I want to watch are things from my childhood, like from the 80s or from the 90s. And PG in the 80s is very different from PG today.
That's for sure.
We have to like kind of be careful, and then be ready to have conversations when some weird thing comes on screen. But if you want to watch a movie, we've watched a few movies recently, and I just have a list. Here's some recommendations. If you have Disney Plus, we just watched a movie called The Game Plan, starring Dwayne Johnson, also known as The Rock. One of his early movies. He's also 100 pounds lighter in this movie. But it's about him as a football guy, and he finds out he has a daughter, and it's very touching. I cried all at the end, but it was fun. Our kids loved it. We also recently watched Cheaper by the Dozen. It's an old Steve Martin movie where they have 12 kids.
Right.
Trying to figure out life. It's a lot of fun. We watched the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap movie.
I love that.
Set in both London and Napa.
Right.
And so it's a fun movie. It's really long too. So it gives you like, if you want just like a long movie to watch. And then also, I don't know if anybody's seen this movie, Rookie of the Year. I don't remember that movie.
It's so
like a
good.
Little kid,
Little
kid falls and hurts his arm, but then now can pitch like 100 miles an hour. So gets picked up by the Cubs. It's just a great cheesy 80s movie. So that's Disney Plus. Those are 4, I'd say, pretty solid movies. And if you have Netflix, pretty much everybody has Netflix. Kung Fu Panda 2 is on there. The latest Spider-Man animation is on there from Sony Pictures. That is a little more intense if you have like little kids, but it's such a good movie. Legends of the Guardians is a movie about owls, but it's very good. Secret Life of Pets 2, Mary Poppins Returns, the most recent one. I love that movie. We watched that multiple times. It's a great one. So those are some movie recommendations with your family. There's tons more on there. But on shows, with the last couple days, if you have Amazon Prime, or I think you can find some of these on PBS on one of their apps, every single episode of Mister Rogers' Neighborhood is on there.
Ooh, that's
and
great.
A ton, and I think not every single episode, but a lot of Reading Rainbow. Now, those are two shows from my childhood. Reading Rainbow, they showed in school. Now that I think of it, I think my teachers needed like a break, and so they would put on a show to put on Reading Rainbow. And I remember as a kid like loving it, and so we watched it yesterday because I needed a break. And over lunch, the girls watched Reading Rainbow, and it's funny how these old shows. What I love about these old shows is that they are so much slower than anything on TV today.
Right.
They like take their time. Mr. Rogers takes his time, puts on his shoes, says hi, then he walks over silently to his fish tank and slowly feeds the fish.
Right.
Doesn't say anything.
Right.
But there's something soothing about that. And even if you don't have kids and you're listening to this and you're like freaking out about what's going on in the world, watch a Mr. Rogers episode, and I guarantee your heart rate will go down, your hope rate will go up. There's just something about him that is just so comforting. So that's a great show. Reading Rainbow is a great show. Our kids were like, it's somebody reading a book, and they're just showing pictures of the pages, and they were just super into it. We also watched a Native American family making pottery. They were super into that. It's just nice, wholesome programming.
That's great.
So those are two great ones. And then one, if you have Disney Plus, my favorite cartoon, I don't know ever, but for my kids is a show called Bluey. And
Bluey
I don't know
is
if you've
good.
seen it, Rene.
Yes, I have. Yeah, it's very good.
It is an Australian animation where basically they just are portraying a dad and their dogs. And it's like two kids, and they have parents, and the parents are like the best parents. I want to be this dad. He's like the most fun dad who just loves his kids, and it's just a great, fun show to watch. And one last thing, one reality show that we do love as a family is MasterChef Junior. I don't know if you've ever watched that. Gordon Ramsay is known as like the meanest chef guy, but on this show, because they're kids, he's very soft and gentle. Christina Tosi is a famous baker, and she's on the show, and like we fell in love with her because of the show. And just to see kids as young as 8 up to 18 or 17 cooking in this competition, and they're just rooting for each other. It's just some great programming. So that's just a few, just some recommendations. I think you'll get. I mean, right there, that's a good. At least 3 days if you don't do anything but watch. Watch stuff.
Adrian, you're thinking of kind of creating some content too, right? You got a Bible story reading plan in mind?
Yeah. So I was inspired. I have a friend, Katie. She started a few days ago reading a chapter of Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe every afternoon at 4:30. And as we were recording this, before this started, I saw that she went live, and it's just fun because she's in her living room. She's wearing a robe. Today she's wearing like a feathery, like snow witch looking outfit, and she added snow to her house. She's just she's going all out. But anyway, she started that. Another friend of ours, Sarah Marsh, who's on our staff, she started reading Harry Potter each night. So I thought, oh, it'd be cool. And Rene and I were talking, you and I were talking about maybe doing something. And so there's the Storybook Bible that I love that book for my kids. And so we decided, hey, I made sure not to do it at the same time as my other friends doing stuff. So sandwiching between those at 6:30 p.m. each weeknight, I'm going to read a chapter of the Storybook Bible, which is a great book that just has the stories in the Bible and they kind of wrap it up at the end of each story by pointing to Jesus, sort of how the Bible does. It's sort of this great story of the love of God's love for the earth through Christ, and we'll do that each night and show the pictures, and my family will be with me, so you might get a couple cameos of my kids running around and maybe asking me a question when we're doing this live.
I love that idea. And I love the fact that you're doing it regularly at 6:30 every night. The Jesus Storybook Bible. You'll be reading a chapter from it. And how can people see this?
The day we're recording this, it will be the first night we're doing it. So I'm going to try to do, go on my personal Instagram page, and we'll do that live. And then also on my Facebook page. Both of those things are open. We'll promote it on the Twin Lakes page if we're not connected on those things. At least this is how we're going to try it. And so we'll be on Facebook Live and Instagram Live. And we'll try that and see how that goes.
And so how do people find your Instagram or Facebook pages?
Yeah, so Instagram, I'm at _Adrian Moreno. That's THE_ADRIANMORENO. That's on Instagram. And also Facebook, search Adrian Moreno on Facebook. Or if you go to the Twin Lakes Church Facebook page, there is a link there that'll click you right to the live feed.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Adrian. Get back to those girls. Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
That's Adrian Moreno, one of our pastors at TLC. And remember, you can see him read to his two daughters from the Jesus Storybook Bible live every evening at 6:30 on Instagram Live. Even if you don't have little kids at home, I'd encourage you to join them. It really is so fun and heartwarming, and it's a way for us to stay connected. Well, I want to leave you with this. Isaiah 43, verses 2 and 3. The Lord says, "When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. When you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. When you walk through the fire of oppression, you will not be burned up. The flames will not consume you. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior." You know what I love about that? When he says this to the children of Israel, he says, you will go through deep waters and rivers of difficulty and the fire of oppression. You'll go through tough times, but don't give up. That doesn't mean I have abandoned you. The whole time, I will be with you through it all to the very end. And I hope those words are as encouraging to you as they are to me. Remember, everybody, stay clean, stay home, stay calm, and stay connected to TLC through tools like this podcast. See you soon for our next episode. It'll be rather unusual. I'm going to interview our worship pastors, Trent and Elizabeth, about songs that they recommend as songs of comfort in times of trial. Because we all need to make sure we're filling our souls with comfort and truth right now, right? And that is what the next episode of the podcast, TLC at Home, is all about. See you then. God bless.